Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, refreshed and raring to go. This is the Sober Stretch. Craig, Gary, back on screen. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, really good. Really good. A nice rest. What about you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm rested, but I missed it. Definitely
Yeah,
missed it.
same. It's like my therapy.
Yeah, same, man. You know, because
Yeah.
it's like a weekly dumping ground of all the shit that's going on in my head, and I'm sure it's the same for you. So yeah, it's nice to be back, and I think we've timed it just right because people are like, oh, when you coming back? Now, baby, we're back with a bang. And
Bit of pressure, isn't there? People kind of relying on it a little bit.
yeah, everyone like come back out of 6 weeks drinking like fucking hell. Glad you're back. Yeah, we're not that great, but we listened to the people, and many people said get some guests on because I think they were getting sick of us just nattering and swearing all the time. So today we are back with our first guest of season 2, Nick O'Shea of Get Sober with Nick on Instagram, podcaster, videographer, and Nick 900 days sober today. Respect, bro.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be on the other end of the microphone for once, you know. And yeah, I actually listened to I think it must have been your latest episode, and I think it was about acceptance, and just massively resonated with me. Like, I remember for years just being like, I'm not an alcoholic. There's
Yeah.
no way, man. Like, I've got a house. Look at me. I've got friends. I've got family. There's no way I'm an alcoholic. And I think you said it, Craig. Someone said it to you, and you just laughed at them. Like,
Yeah.
just fucking, just reminds me of myself, and that's why
Yeah.
I love the work you guys are doing because there's a lot of bullshit. Let's be honest, in the sober space, man. Of like, 9 days sober, and I feel fantastic. So, well, you clearly wasn't drinking and using like me then, because it took a bit of a while for me to recover. So yeah, but 900 days. I guess I'm just grateful, mate. Grateful to be sober. Grateful to be alive,
Yeah,
which is
good man.
not something I would have said uh, 901 days ago.
Yeah, amazing. What a journey. I mean, what's that? That's like approaching 3 years soon enough. No?
Yeah, it's coming up to it. Yeah, so I guess the last big milestone. It's weird. I don't look at the app so much anymore, but obviously when you're doing something like this, it's a really good reminder because you sort of check on it and you think, oh, fucking hell. But yeah, I guess my life changed like immeasurably. But there was. It's weird. I think that's what I was saying about the sober spaces. Obviously, it's amazing, right? Sobriety is fucking amazing, but it's also hard work, isn't it? And it's like taking the time. And people see people like yourselves and think, like Gary, you're what, 11 years, something like that, right? Um,
Nearly, yeah.
you posted the other day, actually, I think I see it, and it's about missing early sobriety. I miss it, man. Like, I miss that buzz, like, fuck, my life's getting better. And like, because
Yeah.
you start to level
Yeah.
out, don't you? Like, after like, I don't know, after a year or so or 2 years, you start to be like, I'm normal again now. Like, nah, life.
Feeling good becomes the new norm, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's really easy to get like complacent in that normality. Um, that's something I did, man. I literally convinced myself. So I was very sick. I got a little bit better, and then convinced myself that I didn't really need to do anything for my sobriety anymore. And then the minute you stop, it's like your character defects and all of this illness that you've got starts to play up. So like my missus would do the washing, I'd be like, "Well, I can't. Why has she done that?" Like, it's like, hang on, what are you talking about? Like, or she'd be like, "What do you want for dinner?" Stop fucking asking me what you want for dinner. And it's like, for me, that the behaviours start before the drink comes. So it's like, it's like recognizing those behaviours. But now that I'm sober, I can recognize the behaviours, whereas before you're just in this like party of self pity and think everyone's a wanker and the world's against you. But yeah, I guess like over time, I've just kind of learned what my character defects are, and basically, I'm just a feared up, selfish little prick. Um, and I normally feed into my ego, but the longer I'm sober, the more I can be connected with my body and actually notice those traits early on
Mm.
and deal with them rather than just like drinking them away. I don't know what you guys experienced,
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, man. Because I think a lot of people make out that getting sober sorts everything out, like absolutely everything. But I mean, don't get me wrong, it does sort a lot of shit out. But what it really does is give you the opportunity to recognize what's wrong, and then you can fix it. So if you're saying that you was a bit of a selfish, egotistical bastard. Your words, not mine. You can recognise that now. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I thought it'd be a bit much if I called you a cunt within the first 5 minutes, but yeah.
Nothing's off the limits, mate. I said it in my preamble before the
love it.
podcast.
But yeah, you just recognise a lot about yourself, don't you? And you learn a lot about yourself, and then because you're sober in a better mindset, you can start to work on yourself. But it's not just, I'll just stop drinking and you're going to turn into a great guy.
No. It's that false sense of security as well that drinking's your problem. Like drinking was the solution to the problem, and like alcoholism is a sober condition. So when you get sober, you're like, oh fuck, I struggle from this thing called alcoholism. But when you're drinking, you don't have the mental capacity to realize that like you're the problem. And I think like self-acceptance for me is like the biggest thing that you need to do, especially if you're in early sobriety. Because I convinced them myself for ages that I was just taking a break, and
Yeah,
everyone was
bro.
like, yeah, and you're like, everyone's like, mate, you've been needing to take a break for fucking years. Like, what are you talking about? And then I don't think until I got honest, I say like I was kind of like sober, but maybe like drunk. So I was like still drunk, but like sober for quite a while, probably for like 8-9 months of just like lost, confused, not really knowing what's going on. But also, I think it's important to say that's fine because you are going back to the mental age you was when you were drinking and using. And I was just saying to you, Gary, before the call, like I kind of went from like this little baby who didn't really know how to live life to maybe like a teenager who's like 16 and still acting out, even when I was sober. And it's not until recently that I've actually kind of finally got my stuff together mentally. But I still have days where I still battle with it all the time. It's still a bit of a battle. But I think it's important to be honest about that because, there's too many people saying that everything's fine when it's not. And it's like, it's okay for it not to be fine. It's actually a good sign because
Yeah.
it means that you're having to deal with the stuff, like you said, Craig, that's coming up.
Yeah, we're all human, aren't we? Life is going to chuck challenges. You're going to feel different certain days than other days, and that's fucking fine. You don't wake up every day feeling brand new. It doesn't work like that. Life's tough. You're always going to have to work on yourself until the day that you die. You never like complete it. So I think you're so right. People can't be under this illusion where you just give up booze and you become this. Everything's fucking sweet. Every emotion that you experience is now bliss. There's no badness in the world. Cancer's cured. Do you know what I mean? But it does put you in a better space to deal with shit. Definitely.
Yeah, your brain's just more able to contend with all the shit that comes your way, isn't it? And you've got the clarity and you're sharp. And that pink cloud experience where you're like, oh, I'm so relieved I'm not, in a gutter. And that's like stage one, isn't it, really? Like, I don't know if you're happy to say, Nick, but what you just said about what you've gone back to recently as a way of recognizing complacency creeping in.
Yeah, 100%. So, like I said, I've been sober for 2 years, and I was like anti-AA. I was like, "Fuck this, man! I'm not going in a room with a load of alcoholics talking about God and all this shit." But I went on this journey of, I guess, like self-discovery, really. And it's about 5-6 weeks ago. I've just started going to AA meetings because basically I went on this trajectory of growth. Like I went up, and then it got stagnant, and then like I touched on at the start, is like my character defects are really showing up, and just ego was huge. Like, like,
Recently.
yeah, I'd say, yeah, definitely, man. In the last like 4 months, maybe. And I think it was like there was a part of maybe like my use of social media. Like I was kind of doing stuff. Was I doing it for the right reasons? Was I doing it because it was boosting my ego, or was I doing it
Yeah.
to help people? Had I like, and like trying to control life? Like silly things like having conversations with people before I've had the conversation with people, and then getting annoyed about a conversation that's never happened. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like that is your alcoholic brain telling you like this is how this should go. And when it doesn't go this way, the world's against you, right? And I sort of started noticing that I had those thoughts coming up. And there was this one guy on Instagram kept messaging me like, "You should come to a meeting." He's been sober for a while and he's been going to AA meetings, and I was like, yeah, fuck that, mate. But I was like, you know, and then one morning I was like, you know what, I'm going to go. And anyway, I went to this meeting, um, and it was like a step meeting. So anyone who's familiar with AA, the meetings sometimes go through the steps 1 to 12, and they talk about what each step and what your experience is. And the first meeting I went to was on the doctor's opinion, which is part of step one. And I finished the meeting and I was like, fuck that. I am not like these people. Still, I'm 2 years sober. I've admitted I'm an alcoholic and my head's still telling me, like, you're not that bad. So yeah, I said to the guy, like, I ain't going back like that. Like, thanks for the offer, but it ain't for me. And then 12 weeks went round, and it was weird because 12 weeks went round, which means that they'd gone around all the steps and they'd come back. And I had this urge to go to a meeting. So I just drove to the same place and was like, fuck it, I'm going to come to a meeting. And it was back on step one. And I was like, fucking hell, that's a bit weird. Like, how's that worked out? And then, I just decided, like, actually, there is something in this. And the second time I went, at the beginning of the meeting, they said, listen for the similarities and not the differences. So I was picking out all the things that I wasn't, but I wasn't listening for all the things that people were saying in that room that I was. And then the minute I heard people say stuff about character defects, about how you're acting, it's the behaviours before the drink, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I think they got a point. And I thought because I created my own community, I was running a sobriety podcast, I was doing this, that I didn't need it. But I realised like that in-person connection like this is basically a meeting, isn't it? So we just get to sit here, talk, you get the shit off your chest. And also people in those rooms are fucking honest. And it's really hard to go into those rooms and not be honest. And then that seeps out into like every sort of other area of my life. So I'm kind of deep into step work at the moment, and working through like a program. And I think you need some sort of program. I had a very loose program before, so I'd always practice gratitude. I'd always meditate. I'd have community, but having like the structure for me, it just turns off the noise in my head a little bit, and it makes me also just feel like I go to a meeting. You know the buzz you used to get of like a pub, right? And you come out and you'd feel like, yeah, fucking hell, like. But now it's on like a Saturday morning at like 7 o'clock, and it's not because the birds are singing and I've been up all night. It's like because I've had a good night's sleep. I've gone and spoke to loads of other people who get it, and then I get that buzz. And another thing someone said to me as well was like, did you, the first meeting I went to, I didn't like. And people were like, well, did you like every pub you ever went into? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, why don't you try a few and see how you like it? And I think, it's funny that I was listening to your guys' episode on acceptance, and that's what it's all about. It's just about that early acceptance to say, you're fucked. And just because you're sober for a long time, it doesn't actually mean it gets any easier. So that's a prime example. Like, me being totally honest, I'm now back in AA, and I feel it's weird. I don't feel like I've got the pink cloud feeling again, but because I'm working on myself and doing something like deep inner work and actually like calling it like a bit of house cleaning, like there was loads of stuff I didn't really admit before. So yeah, and that's taken me 2 years. So it just shows like everybody's journey is different.
Yeah, nobody's is the same, but that recognition after 2 years that maybe there's a possibility of sliding or slipping and the thoughts going in directions you don't like, that's testament to the growth you have done in those 2 years, isn't it? Because without those 2 years, you'd still be like pissing in the wind. But you're able to recognize that it's not easy to go, oh, my character defects are rising to the surface again. That takes bottle and bollocks, and the bottle and bollocks you had to get sober again comes back to help you later on further down the line. You know what I mean? So your early work, that's lifetime work.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also it's like it comes into every element of your life as well. Like you start to, because let's be honest, right? When you guys were drinking and using constantly, you didn't give a fuck about yourself, did you? You actually I had no value. I had no self-worth because I was just like, I just want to obliterate myself to bits.
Yeah.
Like, so then you would then get into life situations or jobs or friends and be with people that you just wouldn't tolerate, would you? Like you just wouldn't tolerate because you're like, actually, like I've worked pretty hard to get to where I am, so I'm not going to go and sit in a job that I fucking hate. Like, and maybe you have to for circumstances. Like I do, I still have to work, but I try and build stuff outside of it, which is like working towards doing something I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Again, that goes back to what you're saying, Gary, about like just having that. It's just self-awareness, isn't it? And I guess like the more mindfully you live as well, the easier it is to, because if you're more connected to your mind and like your spiritual side, and I know that sounds like mad because it's something that I never would have said. You know what I mean? 3 years ago, like someone said to me, "Are you a spiritual person?" I would have said, "Not really, mate." What does spirituality mean?
I,
But
Matt,
go on, Craig.
sorry to interrupt, but I think that might be something. I think that might be really common in people that have been wreckheads before, and then got sober. I just feel like because we all just absolutely abused our bodies and our minds with obviously booze, gear, whatever. We didn't give a fuck. So then when you get sober, you start to care for your body and your mind as well, don't you? And that's what mindfulness is, isn't it? Really, it's like going to the gym for your brain and for your mind. And I just think because we've fucked it for so many years, maybe we all think it's time to take care of it. I don't know, but I'm like that as well. Like I've been getting into this deep breathing stuff, and these ice baths and that. And people, when I say to people, I'm like, I'm a fucking weirdo now. Trust, I do all this. I do all
No,
this weird shit.
I've just moved into a new house, right, and like it's overlooks a field and there's gardens, right. They're all really low fences, and I'm in my garden like barefoot, like praying in the morning, and I'm like, God grant me serenity, like if I can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And these
yeah,
people looking out at me like, who's this guy?
yeah,
But I'm like, do you know what? This version of me is a much nicer neighbour than I would have been. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, and I guarantee there'll be one or two neighbours going, "Oh, hey, that lad that moved in, he's doing the 12 steps."
yeah. Like he's found God. Well, fucking
Yeah,
yeah.
mate. The
honestly, they'll be
old,
like, "Look at this fella taking time to like ground himself and connect with his garden." You know, just things that a garden was just a place to have a barbecue and a piss up before.
yeah,
You know, now it's an opportunity to do barefoot meditation, and
bro. The Any one of us, like when we were drinking, would have been like, "You are off your nut. Like you've lost the plot." Do you know what I mean?
oh,
Walking around barefoot would be like, "Why are you doing that?" We'd be so fucking shallow about it and so misunderstanding. We'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing, you nutcase?"
Do you know
yeah,
what
Yeah.
blows my
As
mind?
we're drinking 15 beers, sniffing a load of packet.
Well,
Do you know
that's
what I mean?
I was going to say
well, in
for
that
me.
situation, I would have gone, "Oh God, look at you, fucking weirdo! What are you doing? You put a pair of socks on your knobhead," and then I would have gone home and thought, "Why am I not barefoot in my garden?"
Yeah, yeah,
I'd have been like externally ripping the guy, but going
Yeah,
home and thinking, "Bastard, he's making progress and he's
yeah.
growing in life."
Do you know what's
yeah,
bad as well? I always say this. Like I remember when I first got into all this stuff, I was really worried about what people thought about me.
yeah. Same,
Like,
man.
but rack a line up, mate, on the public toilet at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll do it in front of your mum. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's I couldn't give a fuck what you think about
Yeah,
it. But then the minute it's like, I might prioritize my mental health and well-being. Nah, not today. It's just
yeah.
like it's
No,
madness,
it's
isn't
not
it?
cool, is it, to look after yourself, man? It's cool to fuck yourself up.
Yeah, it is crazy, but yeah, I think it's like for anybody who's listening and they're a bit worried about that kind of stuff. It's also what you end up like what you put out in the world, and you end up attracting. You know, like things like this. The reason that we end up talking is because we're all being open about it. So then it attracts the right people into your life, and then you start to realize that a lot of the people, exactly what you said, Gary, and I was the same. Like I would be ripping these people, but deep down being like, I really wish I could be that guy.
Yeah,
I haven't got the bollocks to do it.
yeah,
Yeah, and the reason you don't think you have the bollocks is because you're just polluted all the time, and all you need. It blows people's minds when you said earlier, "Oh, people are 9 days sober," and I said it on your podcast as well, like taking the piss out of people, going, "Oh, I feel amazing." Maybe you weren't caning it as much as we were, but there does come a point 4 or 5 weeks in where you start to think, "Oh God, I could actually somehow manufacture a sensible, normal life out of this if I can just keep going." Because the realization comes quite quickly, doesn't it? You get it out of your system physically, and then with a bit of momentum, it can be 4 or 5 weeks that can change your life.
yeah,
Because people assume it's going to be all about not, losing out and not and relinquishing things, when in fact and it is a cliche. It's all about gaining. It's all about growth. It's all about new, extra embellishment, and you can't quantify that in your head when you're doing gear and drinking 39 pints in a weekend. Do you know what I mean? It's not possible. You don't have the power or the wherewithal to believe that you can sort your shit out in 6 weeks. Not your full shit, but be in a position where you can start identifying the shit you need to sort out. Like you said earlier, Nick, like you're aware of things now.
Yeah, agreed. I think also as well, it's like that sometimes as well, I remember when I was trying to get sober a lot of the time, maybe not as honestly as I did the time it actually worked. I would get to that point you're talking about, Gary, like 4 or 5 weeks, and be like, everything's going too well. Let's just like fuck it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it would just be like a weekend blowout, because I might go for 2, 3 weeks. And my problem was like, I could, towards the end, it wasn't this, but for a while I could stop, but I couldn't stay stopped. So I would stop periodically for 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Might get through one weekend just like locking myself in my bedroom and being like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything. And then I go, fuck it, I'm going to go out next weekend, but I'm going to have one. And it was like Friday, and then all of a sudden it was Wednesday, and I was like, fuck it, I just lost like 6 days. What's happened there? And I think I used to get to that point of like, because it's scary, isn't it? Because your life's never been together. And you're like, I don't want it to be together, because it's actually, it's weird. It's hard to live your life fucked up, but when you first get sober, it's really hard to live your life as you, like as actually you, not as the character you've created. Because I created a character that when he didn't show up, nobody liked me. But that's because I was hanging around with all the wrong people, and they didn't like me either. They liked the character that I created in the pub, and then I felt I had to show up.
Do you know what that can be? You're saying you could go like a week without drinking sometimes. Or sometimes I feel like that can be a bad thing, because all that's doing is convincing yourself that you haven't got a problem.
Yeah,
It's just longing it out. I guarantee you, if I can grit my teeth and go 5 days without drinking, I'm not an alcoholic. I ain't got a problem. And then you definitely fucking do, because when you go for that one beer, mate, you're getting fucked, and then you're back on the bandwagon again, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it took me to get to the point where I was daily drinking and using to go like, oh, I've got a problem. But imagine if I just had that awareness and acceptance, back in the day. And I think deep down I did, but I just wasn't ready,
Didn't
And
want
it
to
was
believe
like,
it.
it's the consequences, isn't it? The consequences hadn't outweighed at that age, like early 20s. The consequences hadn't outweighed the fun at that point, and then but then the seesaw slowly goes from like consequences to fun to consequences, and then you're fucking like flying off the top, and just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that's when it's so hard to like ground yourself again and get back to some kind of normality, a normality that you've never experienced, and that's why it's so hard. Getting sober at 33, and I was like, oh, all right, so I have to do adult shit now.
Yeah.
I've not done any adult shit ever, and my next significant birthday is 40. I was like, what the fuck?
It's a huge commitment, isn't it? Getting sober. It's a huge commitment. If you fully commit, you're gonna have some uncomfortable times.
Yeah.
But all of those all of those things that are a difficult commitment are the ones that you have to be committing to in all facets of your life, really. It's not easy to save for if this is what your dream is. It's not easy to save for a deposit on your house, but that means you can't go for those meals and on that holiday. So you develop this level of maturity by saying no and making the right decision. But you can't do that if your life revolves around alcohol and drugs. There is not a chance.
No.
How did it all kick off for you, Nick?
What, the drinking from what, early days or
yeah, like what was the like? Tell us about your. I know every podcast does that, and I didn't do it on purpose today. Like, but how do you get into that position where you're 25 and you're a character and not real Nick?
Mate, so to be honest with you, I come from like a huge Irish family, right? 30 odd cousins. My dad's one of five. Only one of those was his sister. The rest were brothers, So it's like a huge drinking culture from a young age. And I just remember, like, when I was maybe 7, I was that kid in the pub. Like, my dad would chuck all of us in the corner with like salt and vinegar packet crisps and
Yeah.
a full fat Coke, and then we would just be like in a playpen outside, like playing WWE, like fly kicking each other. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's just like, God, that scumbag family are back again. But we loved it. Do you know what I mean? But like for me, my dad and my uncles, they become a character when they drunk. They was a positive one. They were really outgoing and really happy. And that was for me, like I remember being younger, I was always a bit, I don't know, just uncomfortable in my own skin. Um, and got into secondary school. And, you know, the first time I drunk was the classic thing of waiting on a corner of a shop to some
Yeah.
old geezer to walk past and go,
Yeah, someone with a beard.
please,
Yeah.
buy me some booze. And then
Yeah.
we'd go to the local park. But I remember my mum used to give me £2 a day to get the bus, and then so as my drinking progressed, I'd stop spending the £2 on the bus and I'd walk to school,
Yeah.
um, and then I would have a tenner at the end of the week, and then that tenner was what I would use on a Friday to go out. So like that become, you know, the new normal. And I think the first time I drank, I pissed myself. I got sick. I got sick everywhere. Um, I was running around telling everyone I wanted to kill myself. Like I was just fucked up, right? That's like alcoholic drinking from day one. Um, but my brain was like, fucking hell, that's quality.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. And like what happened was that uncomfortableness disappeared, and I went to school the next day, and all the boys were like, "You were fucking jokes, man!" Like, and that was
Yeah.
it. And I was hooked, and
Yeah.
that become my just new normal, really. And like that was basically school was get through the week, get to Friday, Saturday, you know, Sunday you'd spend in bed or whatever, and then obviously you leave school and you go to college and you get a bit more freedom, and then you know the Fridays because at this point you got like a Saturday job, so you got a little bit more money. So Fridays
Yeah.
turn into Saturdays and Sundays, and then like if you don't go to college on the Monday, like fuck it. You know, when at school, like my mum's like telling me you need to go to school, like, I'm going to get a fine. College, it's just like whatever. You get a bit more freedom. So that kind of happened, and then I got a job in construction when I was like 18. But prior to that, I was really into my music. So I like loved. I played in bands, played guitar, sung. Like I was convinced that was going to be my thing. But then all my mates got real jobs, and I got jealous, and I was like, I fucking need some money. So I said to my dad, like, can you get me some work on a building site? And he said, yeah, no problem. And that was when like cocaine just got introduced into my life. And that I'd say from I, the minute cocaine came into my life was when it kind of started to go downhill. And that was the same for me. So it started out as a Friday thing, and it was only ever one. I was always like, I just get a point 0.5, you know what I mean, like 50 quid's worth. Like that'll do me. And then that would be like the same Friday, Saturday, and then it went from like only ever one to like never really left the house without less than three in my pocket, and always had a couple in reserve back home, like you know, like, and it just spiraled, mate, out of nowhere. Like, and I say it's out of nowhere. It probably was over like a 4 year period. Um, but the Fridays slowly turned into Saturdays, then they turned into Sundays, and then before you know it, it started to go back in the week. So it was like, well, I can do a Thursday now because I've only got to get through the Friday at work. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
but Wednesday there's football on, so that's
Champions League,
okay.
baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then Tuesday it's like you know, well, a couple of people are going for a few beers after work, and basically that just become my life. And I reckon I was kind of like a 6 day on 1 day off because it was always the Monday. You know, like Monday I'd be like, I cannot do this. I refuse to do this. And basically what I used to do was just jump from job to job because I get found out. So I'd be at these places and they'd be like, I'd be a solid employee for like the first 3 weeks and then it would all fall apart, you know, because
Yeah.
I'd been drinking and using so much. And then I'd be like, right, time for another job. But this time I'm not going to find the other alcoholics. But lo and behold, it took me about a week before I bumped into them and
Yeah.
basically went round and round in that circle. And I was working in London the whole time. And then yeah, when like it got to the end point, I was like, I know what it is. It's London. Like it can't be me. It's fucking London. So I
Yeah.
did a geographical and took myself out of London. Got a little job that was like 10 minutes down the road from me. And at this point, I was like I said, I was like a 6 day on 1 day off sort of guy. And the job involved me driving. because I had to drive to this site. So I was like, sweet, that's the perfect remedy, you know, like if I'm driving there. And I did exactly what you said, Craig. I just raw dogged 4 or 5 days. You know, like didn't drink Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I was working for this tiny company, like really small company. The director was there, and he said to me like, "We're working Saturday. The job's fucked. It's really behind. Like, do you want to come in?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like that's another excuse to not drink.
Hmm.
And then yeah, I got a call from my mates on the Friday night, like going down to the social club. Would you fancy it? And my brain told me you've done 4 days, you're cured, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And you know, I went on to the pub that Friday night and just got home on Wednesday. So it's the same story again. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And yeah, that you think that'd be the moment that was it, but then I just thought, fuck it. I got sacked from that job, had to go home and tell my missus, and then I just went on like a 2 week rampage, really, hoping that someone was going to stop me. And the day that I stopped, I think October the 9th, 2022, I walked into my front room. So me and my brother-in-law, um, he's a bit of a session. He's not an alcoholic, I don't think. He's calmed down. It was just like an age thing, you know. But we basically used to go to this pub called the White Hart on a Sunday, and went in on Sunday, and it got to about 5 o'clock, and I ordered a bottle of Peroni, which I never do. Like, I always ordered pints, and it was just one day I ordered a bottle, and I just said I'm going to walk home, mate. He was like, "You're all right." It's like Sunday. By this point, I'm like, I've got no money. Like I've literally got nothing left. I need to just go home. So I started walking home, and then when I got home, my girlfriend was on the sofa with her friend like from work or something that she knew, and she was crying her eyes out, and then I was like, whoa, fucking hell, what have I walked into? Like, Jesus Christ. And she just said, like, she looked at me. I was like, I've just split up with my fiance because he's a drug addict and an alcoholic. And then I like fucking thought, what? And then I looked in the mirror on the right hand side, and I caught a glimpse of myself,
Yeah.
fat, overweight, useless piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I just,
Fucking hell.
yeah,
Finn,
and I looked
you're
back,
next.
yeah, and I looked at myself, and I, in that moment, I didn't recognize myself, but that was like, you know, very quickly, 15 years of slow alcoholism just taking over my life. And I actually had the Peroni and I poured the rest of it down the sink, and
Fucking me.
yeah, and I was like, fuck, and I made a cup of tea, and I sat down and just started speaking to this Aisha girl, and it was like she was explaining me through her fiance, but I'd never seen it. Um, and I could just see my missus like looking at me, you know, in the corner of my eye, like, "Fuck, I should leave you." And I was like, "Yeah, you probably should." Like, and I didn't, and yeah, that was the last time I had a drink, mate. Yeah, so
But you know, that was a sign for you that day. And some, you know, we talk about spirituality and higher power and, you know, bigger meaning. That was your sign, wasn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I literally
And
looked in the
sometimes you
mirror.
need that. Sometimes you got to blast it to a point where you're done, and all you need is just one little thing to tip you over, and you go, right, I can't carry on like this. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that takes 15 years, 30
Yeah.
years, you know, because it's an addictive drug and it's highly available and it's socially acceptable. So, you know, and our stories, all three of us, very similar. You know, you both stopped around 30. I was 33. The parallels, the band, the admitting, looking at ourselves, thinking we were fat wastes of space. The parallels are there because we're just young British lads that got swept up by a fucking monster that we had no chance of beating back. How were we supposed to? You know, I remember walking to. I lived when I first moved to London. I don't know, about 24, and I moved. I lived in near Lewisham, and I remember I never went to work on a Monday, and I'd go down in the pissing rain, stinking, fucking stinking, gross, sweating, and I'd go down to the offie, and you know, once the call is made to work, you can kind of like, breathe a little bit, and just that disgusting feeling. But I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know where to turn. I was refusing to speak to AA, and I just felt like there was a whole world that I was trapped from, lost. So the question is, how can young lads like us avoid that trap? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is. It sounds really fucked up and twisted, but it's a bit what you said, Gary. Like, I think they've got to go through it because like
Yeah,
until the consequences are outweighing the fun,
yeah.
it is too much fun.
You
Like,
can't
do you know what I mean?
stop anyone from going that. It. I think from a parent's point of view, it must be one of the most frightening things because it's going to go one way or it's going to go the other. Simple as that. There is no way. Think about it. We can't. Sometimes we can't control our own emotions. Yeah. How are we going to control someone else's feelings? And you're either going to be lucky and not go down that path, or you are. And then,
Yeah,
like you said, Nick, it can get so fucking bad. How many times have we said, "I'm never drinking again"? That has probably got to be the most common British saying in the world. Every Monday, it's probably said the most. "I'm never drinking again" on Sunday, and
Oh
it's
no,
got to get
Monday.
yeah,
Could
yeah, yeah.
possibly put in a Sunday.
It's got to get that fucking bad for years for
yeah,
you to stop.
Yeah, I don't think maybe our generations, but there is a massive drop in young people drinking. I know they're all taking different kinds of drugs now, which suggests there is some kind of like social problem.
Or they just don't
of
even leave
course.
the house and they're just playing like PlayStation, mate.
Well, it's different worlds, like the park drinking. You and I have said it before, Craig. Park drinking doesn't exist like it did when we were young.
Mate, that was the best like times of my life. It's so good. Wasn't it
But
though?
it was. But unfortunately, the consequence was you didn't grow up until you were 30.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Really, you were so intoxicated by drinking kiwi flavored 2020 in a fucking park or Henry Weston's that
Yeah.
the reality of that excitement meant you were a big baby until you were nearly 30.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick was a big baby and I was a big baby. So like getting people sober is also doing society a favor. Just less big fucking male babies walking around like knobheads, not taking any responsibility for their shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was the worst, so I'm not. I get it. I'm not caning people, but you need. I don't know. The penny has to drop at some point, and you can force that penny. I think. If you listen to enough podcasts, if you watch enough content, if you read enough books, you will, like you said, Nick, you will see the similarities.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have to force yourself. You have to push yourself into acceptance. Sometimes, I think, when it's coming and you know it's coming, but even pushing yourself into acceptance might be one last blowout.
yeah. Do you know what it is as well? I think the other thing is that so there's loads of stuff that happens over that 15-year period that you don't realize is subconsciously being like put into your brain. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll have a conversation with someone that you don't realize that 10 years later you'd be like, fucking hell, like that guy said that thing, or someone's listening to this podcast and they're like 25 and they're like, oh fucking look at those losers, those 30-year-old losers, like fucking talking about all the good old days, and it's like, what a bunch of wankers. But actually they're hearing all the similarities. They're just not allowing themselves to listen. But it does go in because it's like with me and the AA stuff. That first meeting, clearly something happened because I went back. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so it does. But I think you're right. You just got. Some people say that they're just broken by the end of it. That they're just like the war's over. Stop fighting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just give up. The
Yeah.
war, you ain't got to keep fighting anymore.
That's exactly how I felt. Like I woke up on that Tuesday morning and thought, nah, this is going to kill me.
I was exactly the same.
And you have to want to live. If you want to live and you max it out, there's a chance. Obviously, the intervention before that is what I wanted to achieve with Sober and Sound. And, here we are, the three of us doing all of our individual and collective efforts to help people. But, mate, it's just, I don't know.
It is interesting how all of our stories or journeys, whatever the fuck you want to call it, are very, 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 very similar. It's just like it's the way we feel like it's the way that we're meant to live. It's like alcohol is part of life, and that's drummed into us from a young age, isn't it? But if you've got an addictive personality or whatever it is, this fucking malfunction in your brain where you cannot stop it, it can be so dangerous. Do you know what I mean? It could kill you, or take years of your life away.
Do you know what the other thing to bear in mind is? You just touched on it, Craig. Like, our stories are the same, right? And before you listen to other people's, you think you're so fucking important, and that
Yeah.
nobody's going through what I'm going through. And it's like there is probably all your mates are going through the exact same thing as well. Like,
Just don't say it.
yeah, it's like actually, the more you listen to this stuff, you realise like I'm not individual at all. Like, I might have had something happen to me. I don't know that didn't happen to you, but it's irrelevant because
Yeah.
I still dealt with it the same way. It was like I can't get out of my own head. How can I get out of my own head? I'll have a drink. And like there's loads of people doing the same thing. And then like the drinking stories, everybody's is so similar, isn't it?
Well, you don't want to let anyone down, do you? Because you said about these guys having that certain perception of you, being this funny fucker that was loose as fuck. You were the same, Gary. These don't give a fuck about anything type people, yeah. That's what they know. You're not going to turn around and be like, "Do you know what, mate? Do you know what, mate? I'm struggling a little bit," because they're just going to be like, "Oh, fucking come on, mate, have a beer." So there's a bit of pressure on you to maintain that character.
But what we should be doing with this platform is saying, if you are the person for trying to egg on someone to drink, that's a prick's move. That
Yeah.
Yes, coward.
if you're listening to this now and you know you do that, fucking give it a rest, man, because you're contributing to the greater problem.
Yeah, it's
Also,
like
And also take a look
manslaughter.
at yourself, because there's something in that sentence that's coming out of your mouth that says a lot about your situation as well. And it's not a dig out, really. It's just a, come on,
No,
lads, wake up. Like, we need to support each other. We need to help each other through our problems. We've all got the same problems, different levels, different landing spots on the spectrum, different levels of alcoholism, drug abuse. But ultimately, we're all blokes. We all find it hard to grow up. We mature slower than girls. We fill voids with booze and drugs and whatever, chasing girls. But if there are blokes like us just saying it's all right, you're all the same. You're not big and hard for denying it. You're doing yourself a disservice. Just open up, because you'll just end up like we did, and nobody wants that. The last thing I'd want for anyone that's 19 now is to embark on a 10, 12, 14-year drinking session like I did. I'd go and carry them to their mother right now if they were doing that, because it's a tragedy, and it's
so long.
a national affliction, man. It's fucked.
you see it though, don't you? As well, like you can see it a mile off. I'm like, fucking hell, he's one of us, man. Like,
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it before
yeah,
they even open their mouth.
yeah,
You
walking
know
around
that they've got
with fucking whatever, and you go, oh no, you're so scared. It's okay though. I was scared, you're scared. It's fine. We were all scared. And that's what it is, it's fear, isn't it? Fear and ego keep us from changing. Because it doesn't like change, does it? Because it feels
no.
weird and it feels odd. But yeah, it's fucking mental. But I think you're right, Gary. I think it's just being open and honest. The more people that are got platforms like yourselves and talking about it, the less power it has over you, because it wants you on your own, or it wants you around a load of other people that are doing the same thing. And when you're not around those people and you're not on your own, it's like, oh fuck, this is a bit more difficult. You've got to break down a few barriers first.
So you
What?
just
Go on,
no, go
Gary.
on,
Sorry.
Craig.
I
No,
was
go
just
on.
going to say. I was going to say, what was your, what was your, what was it like for you? When you got sober.
Oh, fuck.
How? Because you said about people saying they feel fucking sick after 9 days. If you're a big drinker, that's not gonna be the case. So, I mean, 2 years later, you're still on this journey, aren't you?
Yeah, mate, it was brutal, man. I think it was like, for me, a good 8, 9 months before like things started to really click for me. I think it was just white knuckling life, that feeling of just get through it. Because one thing I didn't do was change anything about my life. Like I just stopped drinking, and I was like, why isn't it working? But I was still doing all the same shit. Like I was like, yeah, I'll go to the pub with you. and then I'd sit in a pub for 5 minutes and be like, I've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like a panic attack, and then I'd go home and feel awful, and then be like, right, nah, let me lock myself in my room. And like, that's not working.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what to do. And like my family drink loads. My missus, she doesn't drink so much now, but when I first stopped drinking, she was drinking loads. Like, and I was like, fucking hell, like, your life was like, I felt like my life was falling apart. Like, that's the honest truth. I was like, fucking hell, like, everything around me is falling down. But actually, it was just like falling into place. Do you know what I mean? It was just all the shit. I was doing some cleaning of all the people in my life. I was getting rid of the people who didn't really serve me anymore. It was quite lonely, but that's because I didn't reach out to anyone. And then, yeah, it was hard. And then you'd have these little moments. Though there's always like something to cling on to, like you said. Like because people do say that their life's amazing, but you do get those little moments. It might be a sunrise, or like you start going for hikes, and you're like, oh fucking hell, this isn't that bad actually. This is quite good. Like it feels good. I'm not hungover. I haven't spent any money.
Yeah.
And then you just start chasing that, and then I just threw myself into saying yes to everything from about 8-9 months in that didn't involve alcohol.
Brilliant.
And then it got so much easier.
So what did you do? What did you do to make it easier for yourself? Apart from obviously you went on walks and stuff like that and started seeing little glimmers of hope. Was there any hobbies that you used to do or shit to pass time instead of just locking yourself in your room?
It's just connection. You have to reach out to people. When you start talking to other people who get it, you get this sense of community, and you feel like you don't feel alone anymore. And then you realise there's a whole world of people that are feeling the same, who want to do stuff. So like for me as well, music was another big one. I started listening to bands I used to listen to when I was younger, like Two Door Cinema Club and all these indie bands. And I was just like, fucking hell, like, I used to love this. And then, I'd go around and be like, I've got like 5 guitars in my room. I haven't played for years. And then we just started playing the guitars. And then I picked up a camera and just started like making videos. And I was just like, this is fun. Like, this is actually fun. And like creativity for me is one of the biggest things. Because it's a way to express yourself. Like I'm writing poems at the moment. Never do that before, but it makes me feel like I can just get a load of shit off my chest. And yeah, stuff like that really, really helped me. Definitely.
The creativity is massive, isn't it? Because you are now creating a new person. You're exploring avenues mentally, emotionally, and it's part of throwing yourself into creative endeavors. You find out about yourself that way. You find out about what titillates you, excites you, scares you, motivates you, inspires you, and suddenly you're like, oh, right. Maybe on a Saturday, hiking and then editing a video is my way of filling the void.
Yeah.
And now, like your video, like your when I first found your account, Nick, I think were you writing on paper and showing it?
Yeah, I think I was. Yeah, I was doing
And it
great.
was really different, I thought, and that's what struck me. And followed you, and obviously we did the podcast together. But there is no creativity. There is no pursuit of creativity when you're drinking, because all of your free time you're geared up to using or drinking. So I think the creativity thing's hugely important. And people say, "Oh, I don't know what I can be creative in." Well, go and be shit at 10 things before you find something.
I'm still shit.
You've been shit at life all this time. You might as well be shit at a few more things for a little while until you find your feet,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the first video I made, I did it on my fucking iPhone, like no equipment. And over the years, you just pick stuff up, and you find. Also, it doesn't matter whether don't do it for anyone else. Do you know what I mean? Like do it because you want to do it. Like, and you might find out you're actually all right at something. Like everyone's shit at their first thing, aren't they? The first time they
And
do
you
it.
can't think that deeply into it anyway. Just do something because you enjoy it and enjoy the moment. You don't have to think that deeply into it. I feel like things find you as well. Like you said about listening to Two Doors Cinema Club. You start finding joy in things that you used to before you were a pisshead. Like mate, honestly, like the old me thinking about going for a fucking hike, I'd be like, you fucking what? Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And I spoke to Nick earlier before this, and he said, "Yeah, I'm just out on a walk at the moment." Like that's now the new norm. Like he's just out on his own going for a fucking walk. Do you know what I mean? That's
I was
because that's just how it is now. You know.
I was
That's what
right.
normal people do, though, isn't it? They go for
Yeah.
walks and
But I
shit.
would have thought that's weird as fuck when I was a drinker.
I was writing a poem, mate. I was down
Yeah,
by the
see?
lake, writing a poem. Like, what the fuck's that all about? You know, like, I would
I think
never have
that's
done that.
sick.
But I wouldn't have done that. Like, and I just sat. There was people coming. Do you know another thing that I do now? I speak to strangers. Did you ever used to just fucking ignore people? Like, what?
Yeah, I used to think everyone were twats.
Yeah, but now I'm like, right, mate, how's your day? And then you speak to this guy, and you're like, fucking hell, he's got a mad life. You know, you just find out things about people that you're just like,
Yeah,
I had no idea. And you speak to this bloke, and he'll be telling you something about where he grew up, and you're like, how the fuck did you end up here? And he's like, oh, I grew up in this country, this happened, and you're like, it's amazing. Everyone's got a story to tell, and like, that I was never ready to listen before. Um, so yeah, it's mad.
I think as
with
well, when you open up to others or allow yourself to let them open up, you understand people's struggle is very similar, and then the pity party starts to drop. You have to, like, radical honesty allows the pity party to, like, move away. You stop to feel stop feeling sorry for yourself, and then you hear some guy from Macedonia telling you about his life, and you think, wow, there are people Macedonia. I didn't know
yeah,
that existed. You know, like, and you just, the horizons open so much that I found that I was frightened of drinking again because I didn't want to lose what I was discovering and finding
yeah,
and learning. I thought, oh God, if I go back to drinking, I'm not going to be able to listen to
yeah,
8 podcasts a week and read Carl Jung and go for a hike and do all the things that I thought pussies did. You know, you're writing a poem, Nick.
Yeah,
12 years ago, I'd have called you a pussy.
yeah.
yeah. Same, straight
So
up.
I'd
I'd
have
have been
called
like,
you.
what the
I
fuck?
wouldn't have meant it, and I wouldn't have thought it, but I'd have called it you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, 100%.
because you're so insecure about what you're up to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Like literally, it's madness, though, isn't it? Like when you think about it, when you really think about the fact that somebody's doing something they enjoy and it pisses you off. Like I think you said it there, Gary, about like I think I'm reading the Daily Stoic at the moment, and it's just
Mm.
like again, it's just like it just you. I wasn't interested in like how to control my emotions before. I wasn't interested in like letting go of control, but it's a book that I look forward to reading every day, like one page a day. I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
think I've
wicked,
read a don't think
powerful
I've read a
book.
book. I don't think I've read a book when I was drinking and using. Maybe Biff and Chip
No,
at school, you know, the one with pictures and no words.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anything with words in it, I was like, nah, can't do that.
I don't think you were. Well, I'd like to think that you weren't getting steaming, fucking reading Biff and Chip when you when you were 8 years old. But who knows? It's
Yeah,
all coming out now, isn't it? Fuck me. You having a rough one?
yeah. No, not quite, not quite. But yeah.
We'll title it Nick O'Shea, 8-year-old alcoholic.
That's it, 100%.
Uh,
I also think it's, and like, this is quite a common theme, I think, Craig, when you and I are chatting on our own. Like, we laugh a lot, you know, and there is joy to be had out of a life with alcohol, so
yeah.
much more. Like, the only joy you have as a drinker or a drug user is the moment of being high or pissed, but not even, but you don't enjoy being too high or too pissed. So you're basically creating a life for yourself where you're trying to hit a sweet spot,
Oh,
tipsiness for 2 hours,
yeah,
and you're trying to chase that dream,
yeah. Fine
but you,
margins.
and you can't stay there. You can't limit it to that. Oh, I'm tipsy now. I'll just chill. So you're destroying your life for a 2-hour tipsiness chase,
Uh-huh.
which is the saddest. And I don't mean, oh, you sad bastard. It's tragic. It's fucking tragic.
Oh, mate, it's really hard to say, but you never really live in the moment, do you? When you're a drinker, you're never present. You're always thinking about what am I gonna do? What you're constantly chasing that feeling, aren't you? But you can't get that feeling back because it's gone. And the only way now is down. It's fucking impossible. And like you said, that feeling where you start feeling a little bit confident, a little bit looser, You're able to have conversations that you couldn't normally have because you're an anxious wreck. that 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 doesn't last long, and then you just turn into an absolute cunt and start
My
pissing people off.
my favourite part of the night was waiting for the dealer, and then after that it was just fucking curtain twitching and just on my own, just wanking and just being,
Radical honesty, Nick.
yeah,
Radical
just
honesty.
being disgusting, you know. And it just like, but then like that was the only fun part. It ended so fucked up every time, just disgusting. But
What was your
it's
favourite part of a cocaine addiction? Oh, the wanking.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's true though. You end up. That was the fun part. That was the exciting bit. Was waiting for the dealer to turn up, and then it just went south every time.
Yeah, it's the nervous
Yeah,
energy,
because
the
it's like you've
anticipation.
completed it. You've completed it once you've got it. You don't even want it.
Yeah, but you got to do it because you just paid for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And that first visit to the loo is the most anxiety-inducing one.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
something about it, the pit of your stomach feeling. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah,
You
it's
talk
like,
about two.
what's this shit going to be like then? Is this going to be all right? Or am I about to sniff fucking white heroin?
Yeah, I mean,
We'll chance it. Fuck it.
You make me laugh. Actually, I really like Two Door Cinema Club, and the only time I've ever seen him, I was off Med on Mandy in Spain before I moved to Spain, and I remember enjoying the moment, but I don't remember anything of it. You know what I mean? Nothing
No,
really. So, like, what was that experience? That was just a lie. Your experiences are lies.
It's not even a memory anymore, is it?
Nah.
and I think it's important to say as well. You like that buzzy feeling and stuff. Don't get me wrong, right? You can't get it as instantly as alcohol and drugs give it to you. But over time, and like becoming to the point where you actually have to be yourself because it becomes uncomfortable not to be yourself. That's way better. It's so much more enjoyable. Like I went to see the Arctic Monkeys sober. I had my mum on my shoulders. Do you know what I mean? And she was like fucking loving it. And I was like, yeah, how nice is this? You know,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not gonna drop her. I can put her back down. She's not,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking hurt my mum. I've had such a nice time with her. Like I've actually spent some quality time with her. I remember it, and the old gigs and whatever it wasn't about music and football. Like it was just about getting absolutely off my face. I didn't care. I used to go to Leeds every weekend, and I didn't even know the starting 11 was. So I fucking that just was there because it was such a good day out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you support Leeds?
Loosely now, to be fair.
Oh.
I know, mate. Should we cut him off right now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, do you know what? It's one of those things. Since I've got sober, because I've found other things I enjoy, I realised I wasn't that big of a football fan.
Yeah, just like culture.
And I used to say it because it was like what Geezer said. So I was like, yeah, if I know a little bit about football, then they might like me. You know what I mean?
I'm an alcoholic and I'm footloose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
I've got a question for you, Nick. Something that I've thought for a while. I look at your account and your relationship with your missus looks like proper. How big a help has she been in the last couple of years?
Mate, mental, like in a good way. Just don't know. You just think, why has somebody stayed with me? But she obviously saw something in me which I didn't see in myself. And that's like just, yeah, she's just been so supportive and like, bless her, she's not an alcoholic. So sometimes she says stuff like that she doesn't quite, understand, but she really tries to understand. And that's like, if you're listening and your partner's going through something, like if you can just be patient with them, kind and considerate, and like I always say to her, like, if you have any questions about stuff, like ask. And we just basically that's not a lie. I never used to communicate. She would try to communicate with me a lot, and I would just shut it down. But now we have like open and honest communication and like healthy debates around things because we're not standing on eggshells anymore. And she stood by me. I've been with her for 7 years. So she's seen me through the madness. She's seen me through the other side, and like she always says, like, whenever my mind's swaying a little bit, she's like, just remember, just remember what it was like, and like she's been amazing. And yeah, like even dating with her, it was like we basically started going out again. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like we started dating again, like going on dates, and going for hikes and stuff, and she doesn't really drink that much, and she doesn't have to do it, but she quite often won't drink. If we're going out, she won't drink. She's like, I'm not bothered by it, you know. So she's been like massively supportive. I don't think I'd.
Where'd you find a bird like that from, bro?
I found her when I was off my nut, mate. So on holiday.
Don't do that, Craig. Don't go down that route. All right?
No, but yeah,
Right, fine, I'll have a drink.
no, she's been like real support, and I'm very lucky because not everybody has that. You know, some people get sober and then their relationship falls apart, but it just shows that we would obviously, I don't know, there was obviously something there from day one. Yeah, she's just been supportive, and she kind of must have seen something in me that I didn't really know was in me. So yeah,
Nice.
Poetry, Nick. Poetry. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm going to try poetry. I hate Leeds. I drink weeds. There we go. There's my poem.
I love it. Yeah, I was recording the poem that I put down there when I was on the phone to you, Craig. So I might return to Instagram for that. Get it out there.
Yeah, nice.
But I think that's great that people that are lads can actually become just normal functioning blokes, you know, with a touch of grace and decorum, and you know, aren't frightened to explore a feminine side or, you know, a creative side. That's what life's about, man. Trying to explore and find new avenues and new parts to yourself. Because like alcoholism, it's not a character deflaw. Sorry, I'm combining words there. It's not a character defect. It's like multiple external influences that affect you. You know, you're the victim to a degree, but you can't exacerbate the victimhood. So I just think people shouldn't be beating themselves up thinking they're weak because they can't quit. There's reasons why it's so hard to quit, you know. And
yeah, it's fucking made to be addictive. It's like, why are we all addicted to this thing that's literally made to be addictive? It's like the same with gambling. The stuff they get away with is mad. You know, like the sports ads on TV, it's like, but just when the fun stops, stop. It's like, yeah, that's really helpful, mate.
It looks so fun.
Yeah, like it's mad, and I think you're right as well. I think it's important to be kind to yourself, especially in the early days, man. Like, just you know, you hit the nail on the head, get to midnight and go again. That's literally all you got to do. And if you break it down into day by day, sometimes even hour by hour, it's just like, but do celebrate when you get through a day. You know,
Yeah,
not with a drink, but
yeah, the hour by hour thing, I think sobriety, a successful sobriety path, is defined by decisions that take 3 or 4 seconds. So I'm going into the shop. I'm going, like, things that I did early on. I said that I was on Recovering Jimmy's podcast last night. I don't know if you follow him. What a geezer. We were talking about this, and I chose every time I went into the supermarket for a couple of years not to go down the booze aisle. And those little decisions kept me sober. A little decision to say, no, I'm going straight home. I'm going to go into that shop, but I'm just going to walk straight out of it, buy the stamp that I need. So if you can get good at identifying the little 10-second things that you need to get beyond, then you've got a chance.
and it only ever is 10 seconds as well. Yeah, like that's the thing, isn't it? In your mind, it's like this big thing, and then when you sit with it, it's like, all right, maybe it might be 15 minutes or whatever it is, but like it does pass, you know, like the feeling passes. It's like I still get it now with like fucking food and biscuits and stuff. I'm like, I need a biscuit, man. I fucking need some sugar. Oh, get me some sugar, and then you're like, just have a cup of tea instead, like chill for 15 minutes.
yeah.
You don't need what you think you need, like
Just a craving, isn't it?
yeah. And don't get me wrong, cravings can be brutal. And it all depends on like how much you're drinking and you know what your situation is. But if you're gone a day without it already, you know, or you've gone a couple hours without it already, and it's not a medical thing, you know, and it's not something that you have genuine withdrawal symptoms from, then you can do another couple of minutes, can't you?
Yeah, we're all tougher than what we think. We're all tougher. like you said, we're not fucking doctors. Alcohol is one of the things that you can actually die from if you abruptly stop. Of a lot of things. So don't want no one to fucking die because of this, but we're all stronger than what we think. Like, our mind will play games and try and convince us that we're not strong and try and convince us to stay drinking, blah 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 blah. But I can't stand excuses, man. Like, or weak mentality. If it's fucking your life up that much and making other people's lives a misery because they're worrying about you, just stop.
Take the effort that you put into your drinking and using and put it into your sobriety and watch your life change. You know what I mean? Like, you would plan your life around drugs and alcohol. You would make sure that there was a pub at the end of the walk that you were going on.
Yeah, no.
The first thing you looked up when you were booking a holiday was how far away is the pub? What's the price of the beer? It's £3 a pint in Spain, but Albania's 50p. So fuck it, we're going to Albania. You would change your holiday plans and your whole life to suit it. So put that energy into being a better person. And
bro,
you're gonna be a better person, aren't you? You have to be.
yeah,
No doubt.
it's
No
intense
doubt.
research.
Yeah, you don't need to do any more research if you're listening as well. I hear people do that a lot. I'm just going to do a bit more research to find out if I'm an alcoholic. You're listening to a sober podcast with 3 alcoholics on it.
Yeah.
You've got a bit of
Hi, I'm the sign. Listen to me.
You're about to Google, am I an alcoholic? That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
You're 100%.
Wicked, man. Well, right, Nick, we're going to, Craig and I thought, let's jazz this fucking podcast up a bit. So at the end, we've got a few quick fire questions for you. Craig.
Nice.
Craig, I'm not sure if you've seen these, but right, favourite non-alcoholic drink?
Soda water and lime.
Same, yeah. Okay. One word to describe sobriety. Oh.
Transformational.
Say again.
Transformational.
Transformational. What are you saying, Craig?
No, I was going to say it's tough because he's a poet and he, do you know what I mean? He wants to string a sentence together.
Yeah, give us 3 words.
What's a guilty pleasure that you refuse to give up? Mine has been sugar, and it was fags at the beginning as well. I had to smoke.
Yeah, mine's sweets, sugar and sweets, 100%.
And that's a fair payoff, I think, for a little while. I mean, it can't go on forever. In my case, it is going on forever, but that has to stop as well. But
yeah,
embrace sugar.
Someone messaged me today in the sober chat I'm in. Said, I'm 90 days in, I'm struggling with sugar and I feel awful. I said, have you drunk or used today? She said, no. I said, well done. Don't worry about it then. What's the consequences of having a biscuit? Oh, you might feel like
do you know what's funny is it is quite funny. It's like you do 3 packets a night, yeah, and you wouldn't give a fuck. You wouldn't really give yourself a hard time about it. But now it's like, I'm a bit wary about having a coffee. Do you know what I mean? It's like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Mental. Ridiculous. Right, Nick, last question, then we'll let you get on with your life. As a man who has a podcast, a very good one, who's your dream podcast guest from the sober sphere? You can talk to anyone. I mean, you've already spoken to me, so that doesn't count.
I would probably say Tom Hardy. I'd love to get him on. He's like a mad life. He was a heroin addict, got sober at 19. I think he'd be quality. Or Steve-O.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jackass, yeah.
Yeah, one of them two.
He'd be a funny fucker.
Yeah.
Monumental achievements from both of them, yeah. And Tom Hardy got quite young, didn't he?
So, I think he was 19 when he got sober. So
wow, fair play.
And he was proper fucked. So, but yeah, just be so interesting to hear their
You'd
story.
have to be careful, like if he was around your bird, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
He's a bastard, isn't he? He'd be right with Steve-O. No, I'm only joking, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's such a personality. Like you look round and your missus would be gone as well.
Yeah. 100%.
Nick, well, you've taken a little hiatus from Instagram, but should people want to find you, where can they find you? Yeah,
so Get Sober with Nick podcast. There's still like 40 odd episodes there if you want to listen. Also on YouTube, and then Instagram. There's a whole load of content dating back to the last couple of years. And there's a WhatsApp community you can join as well. So if you go onto my Instagram page, you click on that, there's about 80 people in there. We have a Zoom call on a Thursday where everybody gets real honest with themselves, and people come in and share. So I'm sure hopefully one day I'll have you guys in there sharing your story, and it gives people an opportunity to basically, I'm trying to create a space which people don't know they need. So they're not comfortable with going to AA. They're not comfortable with going to, you know, meetings in person, but they want to go somewhere and they want to talk to other sober people. So hopefully that's kind of what I can create.
Nice.
And yeah, and then LinkedIn as well. I do like public speaking specifically to the construction industry around mental health and addiction. So that's another place you can find
That's so cool. Yeah, I saw some of your content on that last year. It's wicked. Well, it's been a pleasure, Nick. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. And congratulations to you guys for doing this. And yeah, you should be proud of what you're doing. So well done.
Cheers. Thank you very much. One final little feature. Listeners, if you've got any questions about sobriety, alcoholism for Craig and I or future guests, whack them in a DM or something to the Sober Stretch on Instagram. I can be found at the... No, what am I? What's my fucking account? At Sober and Sound. I'm at Sober and Sound. We are at the Sober Stretch. The podcasts come out on Sundays at 3 p.m. To help you through the Sunday scaries and the fear of Monday. And yeah, that's us. We're back.
Catch later. Nice one, Nick.
That's sweet. No worries.
Peace. See you later, fellas.
Bye.
Bye bye.